Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mentoring with Geraldine and the Bite Size Podcast. How the devil are you? So, I am so lucky I've got Annie with us again. So, she has so kindly said that she is going to do our summer season with us, and we're on to episode 3 together. So, we have really been looking at that magnetic brand last week and how we can niche and who we are. And the week before, we really talked about stepping out of that comfort zone, really stepping up, stepping out, and getting the support that you need to be the practitioner you want to be. Which has kind of led us in a segue, in a roundabout way, but still the same way, has led us to really looking at systems and support for that sustainable growth. So we've got our magnetic brand. We've spoken to people, we've asked people, what do you think of this? What is wrong? Why am I not getting people in? What are you seeing in my socials? So, what is it that's going on? But with Annie's corporate experience, she guides those large change projects. I mean, ATMS at the moment, we are getting a kick in the pants but from Annie, and it is just brilliant to be part of ATMS right now. I feel that I am on this precipice of change, the way we all work and our association because of Annie's energy. All right.
Oh,
It's amazing working with you, Annie. Absolutely amazing. I've never been so thrilled to have gained a post where I got to work with somebody like you. It's just blown my mind. And and I can see that, we are creating something amazing and we are creating this sustainable practice for people out there in the industry. But they all need help. And we need, what does scaling mean to you? You know, how can you describe scaling to that person who's just taken their step outside of college, or they've taken time off to have babies and they're just stepping back into the workforce? What does scaling mean to you for
oh.
them?
Ah, well, I'm all about the scale, Geraldine, because
Mhm.
the scaling means that you get more income, more opportunity for less effort, right? Who wouldn't want to do that? So I'm all about the scale. My goal in everything, whether it's my entrepreneurial staff boards that I'm on, your CEO at ATMS, I'm all about. Yes, we want to have sustainable growth, so we'll look at our systems and all of that sort of thing. So we want to have that, but you don't just want to grow. So growth is necessary. You start, then you grow. Yes. So grow, but you can grow and just manage a bigger thing,
Yeah.
which therefore requires more resources. And so something like even like an airline is a massive thing to run. If I was CEO of an airline, it's just a massive thing, but they've got a very fine margin. They can go belly up very easily. So you can grow and then just get a bigger effort to grow. So not necessarily better income. What the scale means is that you then got multiple revenue sources, things like that. Like I sell books, I get sponsored, I speak, I have clients, I still got a day job. I know I'm hyperactive, do lots of things, but it means that I can scale. You get to get better results on less effort. Doesn't mean that you're not working hard, but you're working smarter. All right. So for me, it's like, yeah, I could spend all time faffing around on something, but I go, no, because of my skill and my expertise, I can just get clarity on what it is. So you need clarity. What are the steps? And then, like I said in your first episode, I just do them. And if I don't like the topic, because there'll always be something in whatever job you're doing, I always do it early in the day. Once you get to 3:34, I tell you what, the afternoon sag's happening, and you're probably thinking I'd like a sugary snake or something. You're not going to do that. In business, they call it eat frogs early.
Yeah.
Bit of a crazy sort of phrase, but basically there'll be some things. So I'm all about the scale, looking for the scale. How do you do the scale? One, you get to a stage where you can broaden your revenue streams, and we can talk a lot about that. But before that, where you were talking about sustainability, for me, it's all about, well, one, I want to be sustained, but I don't want to just be busy and just staying the same. So I do want to grow. And then the growth stage is where you've got to get your systems in place.
Yeah. Yeah.
You will never scale if you don't have the systems. And that's a lot of work that we've done at ATMS. And it doesn't mean we weren't doing great things for 40 years. Amazing organization. But it means that we've suddenly had a time of late that we're going, right, well, what are our systems? What is, if we have 20 modalities of practitioner, what are their unique customer journeys? And what are they getting along the way? And what are our systems to mean that if Geraldine joined and she was a naturopath and she would get this customer experience. And then one of your colleagues, Joe, joined, they'd get the same thing. So, what are your systems in place that what happens when they join? How long does it take? How are they shown love? Do they get
Mm.
anything extra? Do they know how to do the next step? So in ATMS, it might be, do you know how to go to a webinar, connect with your colleagues, access our resources? But it's the same that if you're a practitioner and you've got that client walk in, well, what is their experience? So how do we have a rinse and repeat in pretty much every area of our business that is not the unique specialness, which is us, and which is where in business I call it the 80-20 rule. I want to be ideally operating in my top 20% genius zone, which is the Annie special, right? That's where I'm firing. I feel the joy. I've got all the energy. I'm the one you want to see. And people will pay more for that because they don't want to get someone else who on my team who could do that because of
Yeah.
X factors, right? But 80% of it should be in your business is just working on how does the business work and doing the practicalities that require. We've all got to do our
Mm.
accounts and
Yeah.
bits and pieces. So when you've started, you and those of you who are just starting, I think you said, well, what about the person who's just started? You know what? You're going to be doing all of it. And
Yeah.
that's what we've all done. And it's hard,
Yeah.
and particularly if you've already still got a day job and you're still in the hobby phase, which means you haven't got to probably around, usually my clients, I get told once you get to 80 to 100K, you get a decision because you're now not, you don't have a hobby, you have a business that you can really take to that next level. If you don't, you probably do have a hobby, even though it's a business. And there's no judgment on that, but there's a whole lot of factors that prove that theory. All right. So if we're in that middle bit and you go, oh, if you're the new practitioner, then you go, well, you're going to have to do every single task. And your goal is to go find out in that time, what is my X factor? What am I unique and known for? And how do I end up in my business spending more and more time in that zone? And then if I have to, once I've got enough revenue coming in, what's the first thing that I'm going to get support for? So
Well,
that might be,
I can tell you for me,
what was
it
it?
was to get a bookkeeper.
Ah, you know what? A bookkeeper is like
Oh,
90% of people go, a bookkeeper. No offense to bookkeepers. I tell you what, you are a gem because none of us like that role. It is just mind-numbing. If you're a people
oh,
person, it's like, oh my gosh. But like I tell you what, they're essential. If you don't have your money,
absolutely.
money involved, the next bit is, and so yeah, bookkeeping. It
Yep.
might not necessarily be a person. So it's usually bookkeeping and then it's someone to help do your socials and bits and pieces.
Yep.
But you
Yep.
also don't want to throw spaghetti at the wall, as in you got to know what you want to get. A bookkeeper is really defined because you know what the
Yeah.
role is, how much time it is, you know what you get. Once you go into some other areas, it's a bit riskier, which is why you want to have mentor or coach. We can unpack that. One area that I strongly recommend is IT infrastructure. So
Oh,
whether
yeah.
you have a
Yep.
program, and I know you'll have your specific programs that
Yep.
you'll use, whether it's a clinic or a simple clinic or whatever. So without going for specific things, what they've done is they've created a system that then means that you are rinse and repeatable.
Yep.
And when you take the effort of, oh, will I send them an email? Will I do that? Now, while everything's rogue, it doesn't mean that you're not trying, but it means that there is the risk that someone doesn't get the service because something happened and you didn't do it.
Yep.
And there's no judgment on that. We all get really busy. Or two, they get an inconsistent service. And so
Yep.
they're helping you. So you want to get, and then even if I'm doing something at scale, then, therefore your website has to be automated and working. Your reception, if you've got a reception, it has to be automated. Your people have to book online because 86% of people are booking online. So if you're not,
Yep.
like, just like, it's a hobby.
Yep.
right? And so there's just
Absolutely.
some truths on business
Yep.
that I used to be a bit sort of nicer about it. And I go, nah, it's just a fact. Like even I was, even looking at doing videos for things at the moment because I do them on LinkedIn and TikTok and Facebook and Insta. I'm just like, well, do I do it landscape because it's nice on YouTube and on my website, or do I go for the portrait? Like these are big decisions. And then you go, considering, and then you just get the data. Everything's got data now. And if 87% of people are watching it on a mobile, you know what? Do a portrait. That's it.
Yep.
Unless you
Yep.
want to do it all but twice, well,
Yep.
go
Do you
you.
know
I don't
what
have
I
time for
did?
that.
Do you know what I did initially to find out where people were and what they were following? I had two, so I did one landscape and one portrait, and I had the two sitting on top of each other, and I would just do it. So if I was going live into Facebook, I would open Insta on another machine, on another,
Yeah.
phone or iPad or whatever it was, or my computer, whichever one worked best, and I would go live onto them both. And then I could be like, right, Insta, there are more people going through because you see them at the bottom.
Yes.
You see them as they're interacting, whereas you don't see that on Facebook unless they do something or they write something. There's like a one in the corner. It's just, it's not quite as good. So but figuring out those systems. And I always say to people when you start out, if you're starting out, like choose a system. Where are you going to hold your notes? Because that's going to be forever.
Yeah.
Like, I have Marianne on here a lot. She's been on the podcast
Awesome.
3 times with for Simple Clinic because I just think it's cheap to start with. It's really not going to cost you a lot. And it means that you have the one thing you learn to do. You learn and use it. Whereas it wasn't around when I started out. Simple Clinic
No.
didn't
You
exist.
have to take all those notes yourself. You have to
Oh,
remember everything. You
all
probably
those,
got a file on people.
I
We've still got
know,
an ATMS. You go out the
files.
back cupboard and there's a file on someone's like, we don't, yeah, we all had to do that. And it didn't
Yeah.
take a long time. What has it done now? It's just freed you up from the time.
Oh,
It's also freed you up from a lot of the risk because it's
yeah.
private information. So you've got laws around, data collection and storage and things like that. It frees you up, which is funny because we all say we're busier than ever, but we've basically taken on more than ever. It used to take a
Yeah.
long time to do a few things.
100%. We are just taking on more. You
Yes.
know, I I listen to audiobooks now, and I mean I've listened to podcasts for years. I've taken up listening to audiobooks because I'm like I haven't got time to read a book, which is ludicrous because I used to read a book when I was going to sleep. So what
Yeah.
has changed in my world that I still go to bed at the same time? What has changed in my world that I'm not reading a book to go to sleep? Nothing. It's
No,
me
we
to
all
sit.
have this time thing's a fascinating one for me, and I've spoken a lot on it. It's everyone's got 24 hours in the day. So your
Yeah,
time, so no one doesn't have time. We make choices. And that's
yeah,
just the honest fact. You do what you love. And so
yep,
if you go down tunnels, well, you're fascinated by that tunnel. And you probably, if it's not working for you, then you need to learn how not to go down that tunnel. But at the end of the day, you're making choices that you have allowed or accepted. So you do what you accept. All right. So that's a key point. So if
yeah,
your behavior or the way you progress is like, well, what have I tolerated? What have I accepted to be okay? And if I go, well, I'm just totally booked out and I don't have enough time for myself and now I'm having a total meltdown, but you accepted that. You took on 50 things. You
yep,
didn't, you neglected your sleep, whatever. There's no judgment. We all do it.
yeah,
But you can't blame anyone else. Oh, well, I had to. No, you don't. That's the
no,
thing about being an adult. You don't have to do anything. You chose to, and then it usually blows out on its time, and then you got exhausted, or you went, I want to grow this business so fast because I want to be like my friend, and then you've taken on five things that actually a whole learning curve and blow your brain because you're learning, and then you
mm,
go, no, just do one and then you can probably read your little book on the couch on the weekends.
yeah,
So we take on too many things. We underestimate the learning required. Things also are different now. Now we're
yeah.
old and wise.
Aren't
Back in the
they?
day, you'd learn it and the freaking it'd just stay the same. I mean,
Yep,
you could have some skill or knowledge, and it's like still
yep,
10, 15 years later, you're the guru at it. Not
yep,
anymore. Now you go, gosh, if you look at AI and the effect on that, the world isn't like it was 18 months ago. So we
yeah.
have to appreciate we've got this constant learning, lifelong learning is huge and that is exhausting. So it's
Yep.
super exciting and we're using it, but also it doesn't mean that we have to use every part of it.
Yep.
It's literally
Absolutely.
take a little bite and then milk the
Yep.
milk it as much as you can.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the thing, if we get our systems in place very early on, then it just makes everything so much easier. I mean, when I started out and started going online, so I don't use Simple Clinic, as I said, because it wasn't around when I started out. And I've got used to using Acuity for my booking system. I use Halaxy to store my client notes. I mean, I pay for G Suite so that I can use that to store my mentoring notes. So
Yep.
I'm using all of these different things when realistically I could be using one,
Yeah.
you know, and I just haven't got round to nutting it all back and going, well, actually, you know what? I could stick with Acuity and
Yeah.
G Suite and just use that and skip everything else. So Halaxy now, because I'm not seeing clients, I have to hang on to it. You've got to hold on to the data for all of that time. I've managed to finally get rid of all of the physical notes. I hit the 7 year mark when we moved house.
Well done.
I phoned a shredding company and they came out with all of these wheelie bins and I put all of my last sort of paper in the wheelie bins and they
Oh,
locked them up. They waited, they locked them up and they took them away. And I was just like, yes.
oh, you must be doing a happy dance. That's so
Oh,
exciting. I love what you said there
surreal.
too, though, that you're using these systems because that's another thing that we get, you're comfortable doing that. It's
Yeah.
worked for years, it still works for you. Would someone fresh out do that plan? Probably not. So it's not
No.
like what you're doing is wrong. You're probably paying more.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you're
Yeah.
paying three lots of something instead of a program that, the goal in business is like, is there a one size fits
Yeah.
all, one stop shop? And as your business grows, like it's really hard to get that. Let me tell you, running a big,
Oh,
multiple businesses that I do, you go, oh, then you got to integrate them and this and that. But the secret is less is more with
yeah.
everything. So
Yeah.
because every time you get it, it's like, do you do Netflix and Stan and bloody Disney Channel? It's like, no, like pick one. And then if you want to do the other one, we'll pick 1 month here and then change it next month. But you've got to be on top of it and organize. Otherwise, you'll have these things that
Yep.
from a business coach, that you're just spending more. And that's
Yep.
okay if you really like it and it works for you. Because what it does is, and what you've said is, one, you can go, but I've done it for so long and it's worked for me, and you're happy to have the hit and it doesn't affect your life. Or you've got a free up time, which means you don't, it's a choice. When I
Yeah.
do this, what am I not going to do? Whereas we
Yeah.
generally do, I'm going to do this on top of, and then you go,
Yep.
haven't slept for 3 days and now I just can't stop crying. And so that's not going to work for you. So then often you just go, oh, look, I'll just, I'll leave it till Christmas or I'll do something. You've got to know when do I have a downtime, which is also worth, I've got a lovely thought of, I think you can tell where people are at. A big story comes from your calendar. I look
Mm.
if I go to my clients and I look at their diaries or their calendar, and when went and said that, we've all got enough time and we've all got and you do what you love, it's really interesting what's in your calendar. So while we could be really great, like if my ATMS team, they'd have like, all their what they're doing and it's all very measurable. If you're in your practice, it's hard to do that, or you've got your clients, but it's about intentionally going, all right, if I've got half an hour between a client now, what am I going to do? Am I going to work? Am I going to learn a new thing? Am I going to fix something that's not working? Am I going to invest? Like they're all choices, or am I just going to faff around and then suddenly it's like, oh, it's nearly time, and then I'll go. So they're all choices in your time
Yep.
that you've allowed, and there's no
Yep.
judgment on that, but it's saying when you go, oh, I'm going to be in truck, because I teach people to have the thinking of you're a CEO of your whole life and business and career.
Mm.
And so when you do that, I want them to go, you don't have to continue it on, but for the first month, I go, from that moment that you get up, what do you do? And
Yep.
you treat it like a work day, to the point that
Yeah.
I'll have date night on Friday night with hubby because we do that. And then I'll go, well, I want to have if I'm going to make a choice to go to the gym 3 times a week, where is it? because
Yep.
that's not negotiable. If I'm going to even see how many friends or colleagues, or if I'm going to go to a business event or whatever, where is it to show where my free time is? Otherwise, you just lose time and then you feel like you've had a big day. And then suddenly at 8 or 9 o'clock, you go, oh, I've got things to do. I've got to do that friggin' bookkeeping. Because it just doesn't go away until you hire
Oh,
someone. And then you go, oh, this is just overwhelming and exhausting, and there must be something wrong with me. And it's like,
yep.
no, you just haven't learned how to organize. So there's self-organization, organizational skills that get along and get into the
Mhm.
diary. And then once you do it, 3 weeks, it becomes a pattern of behavior and you don't have to write it in because it's just something you do as long as
Yep.
you do it regularly. And then have systems like the Simple Clinic or the something, or pick something that's going to work for you that goes, oh, if I can put a whole stack of things in this one basket, one, it's effective and efficient, and it's generally going to be cheaper than managing three baskets.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I mean, that's the thing with your system, isn't it? And I think this is actually segueing into the next topic, which I believe to be financial confidence and purpose-driven pricing, which I believe is one of your advocacy and strategic roles as a mentor. It's certainly something I bang on about with my mentees when I'm talking about systems. I'm like, how are you taking the money? How does the system work? Where is your client? Where do they see you at the beginning of their journey? Where are they finding you, meeting you, seeing you? How do they get book into you? You have to follow it and you have to do it. You know, a lot of us are online, but people are in the real, and you need to sit in their seat in the office. What do they see? What do they see when they sit in that chair? What do they see when they walk in your front door into your office? What is their vision of you when they've had, they've seen you on social media, or their friend has told them to come and see you? What is their vision of you when they actually meet you?
Mm-hmm.
Or once we've got this system in place from that vision, how do they pay you? How much should they pay you? How do you decide on this fund? Because that's the next part. All of these systems take money.
Yep.
You know, that, Acuity takes money for me. It's great, straight to Stripe. Then I get a ping and I've got, money into my bank account, and it's lovely and I love it. And, it's so much better than taking a check to the bank. Oh my goodness, that was the day. Anyway, oh, that was trauma trying to get those checks to the bank. But when we think about that pricing, because it goes with it, and I reckon we've got another whole podcast there, don't you think?
Let's do a whole podcast on that.
Let's do a
I
whole
mean, who
podcast.
doesn't want to just solely talk about money?
I know, I reckon, because systems, like in the systems, we've got VAs that can help us. We've got people that can help us,
Yes,
and they've got us. Like people who are listening today can book those focus calls with us, and we can talk to them about.
exactly.
They just need to get in touch and contact us. And don't worry, guys, Annie's info is all in the show notes. Don't worry, you can just click on it and go and find her. She's on LinkedIn. Really easy to find. Once you type her into Google, I did.
Very Googleable.
Very Googleable. I used to be the only Geraldine Headley on the internet. Then
Only.
the only one. And then there was another one, and she was a philanthropist in
I saw her when I Googled you. I
yeah.
Googled you because we all Google stalk. I said 70% of people do all their research before they get to you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so she was.
you've got a philanthropist called
No, I didn't
Geraldine
mind
Headley.
that. I didn't mind that at all. I thought, well, you can have my name. You're a philanthropist. I don't mind you having my name. That's all right. And there have been a few others recently, so I'll just put up with them. But it is good to be very Googleable. And because we have to get these strategies in place, guys, we really have to think, how do my systems work? How can everything go from A to B to C to D? We don't want to skip C. We don't want to leap from A to E. We really need that smooth system. And how are you going to do that?
And because the goal is for when that person walks in, they get all of you. That's
Yeah.
what I love about systems. Then I go, when I've got that client, I go, I'm assuming all those other things have happened. And so I can go and say, it's all about you. My focus is on them. My eyes are on them. My time is on them. I'm not getting distracted. And
Yeah.
that's what they're wanting. They're paying their top dollar,
Yeah.
and like going, yeah. And so their value, they go, I got such good value. Whereas the more you could have fantastic session with them, but then if they've had a poor experience in some things that should just
Mm.
be rinse and repeat,
Yeah.
for you, then that's really disappointing because it's kind of like you've had 100% in your cash cow and then you've suddenly gone down
Yeah.
because of systems. And that's where you don't want to go. You want to be slick on your system so that you can dazzle them. And that's when you become extraordinary. That's where you get magnetic attraction on our
Yeah.
previous topic because they
Yeah.
just go, oh my gosh, like it's just so easy. It's easy to book, it's easy to pay. That she's absolutely lovely. We had such great time. She gave me her whole hour or whatever.
Yeah.
Uh, Happy to come back. I'll book my
Yeah.
session again because there is no doubt. So, with any repeat customer, it's all about trust. Do they trust that you are going to give them what you promised? It's all
Yeah.
about trust and promises, business.
Yeah.
So, you've put a promise out into the universe. You've promised them on LinkedIn. Annie's promised them that she's an expert,
Yeah.
global expert in starting, growing, and scaling. And
Yeah.
so it's a promise. So what do they know it? You've got to be seen, you've got to be everywhere. They're going to know you, like you, trust
Yeah.
you. Trust is when they go, if I put my money invest in you for this one session
Mm.
or a whole term or whatever it is, will you deliver? And as soon as they trust that you will deliver as promised, oh, you
Yeah.
become the queen. Everyone wants to see you.
Yeah, 100%. And so that's how we're going to get our financial confidence. We're going to talk about that on the next one. So I'm going to say again, thank you so much for joining us, Annie. It's absolutely brilliant having you here with us on the podcast. This summer season is turning into the most fabulous summer season for everyone. And guys, reflect on what we've been saying, write some notes, really think about how this can help you. What are your systems? Walk through how your clients see you. Get somebody, hand your phone to somebody else or get them to Google you and find how they go through on their phone. Remember, your phone, your laptop, it knows what you want. It knows that you want you, so you will come up automatically. But get your friend, you're out for a coffee, ask them to Google you, ask them to go through your system. I was sending out a bung link last month. And can you believe it? After all these years, I'm using the same system for years and years and years. And I was just missing a letter on the end. I'd cut and pasted something wrong. And I was sending out, but it was sending everybody to my full booking link. And when I went and looked at it, I thought, hang on a minute, I don't want people seeing these other things on here. And so I was just like, oh, grateful that it had been spotted on someone else's device because it wasn't coming up on my own.
Mm.
It was showing me what I wanted to see. So we do have to check things from someone else's device, and these systems are in place to help us to do that. These overall systems are going to hold your notes, they're going to take the money, they're going to they're going to send those emails, those reminders, those texts, they're going to store your clients' information. They're just going to make your life so much easier. You have to get your head around them. Once you got your head around them, they are fantastic. So we're going to leave it there for this one. And then we've got the last in our series with Annie next week. And we're going to be talking about financial confidence and that purpose-driven pricing, which are Annie's words, they're not mine. Because purpose-driven pricing is something we're really going to dig deep into. So again, thank you so much, Annie, for coming on
You're
the show.
welcome.
And we'll all look forward to seeing you on the next one. See ya.
Yeah.